I have 5 pots in here. 5 tiny pots. These are the second pots that I threw with my new tiny pottery wheel. The first ones I threw were in my last video, so if you want to take a look at those and the process of throwing tiny, you can look at that last video. I'll put a link here or in the description. So the first 5 pots have dried. This second set of pots, I'm letting them dry really slowly because I want to decorate them by carving them. So we have 1, 2, 3 is a little bowl. They're so cute. 4 and 5. They're what we call leather hard. They're soft enough that I can use carving tools to carve patterns in them. And then I'm going to glaze them with a celadon glaze. That's a glaze that has pigments that settle into carved design or that settle into texture in pottery. So we'll be able to see it a little bit better. It's a rainy winter day. Do you hear the rain? And there's thunder. So this will be a good indoor project with my cup of hot chocolate. Hot chocolate in my favorite mug. This is one I made years ago. And it was the second because the handle wasn't even attached. It separated when it was drying. So I decided I'll keep this mug, I'll glaze it and see if the glaze attaches the handle, and it did. And I've had this mug maybe 10 years. Handle works. I don't sell them if the handle has separated, so it's my favorite mug. This project I can do indoors. It's not as messy as throwing, where you have wet clay and a lot of water. Here, I'll just keep the carvings separate, not let them get all over the floor. I have some ideas for patterns to carve, and sometimes I'll just let the ideas, the patterns come to me as I'm working. I haven't carved small pottery before. I've worked on bigger pots, but I can't do that much because I have problems with my hands. It hurts too much. I have some arthritis and some other issues with my hands. So especially on rainy winter days, my hands hurt, but I can do this much. It's going to be fun. So let's carve some tiny pottery. I have some ideas, and they'll develop as I start carving. I was thinking of doing these kind of like just little amoeba shapes, and then do different things around them. I need more little pots. I have more ideas, or I could just make them flower shapes, leaves. I'm trying to keep it simple because it's going to be carved. What else? It's going to just do some fluting. I'm a flutist. I should do fluting. My tools. These are diamond core tools I use for throwing and for carving. And these are useful little tools. On this end, make a ball texture. And on this end, it's a point. And then I have a really soft rubber point that I might want. I have a pen tool, and I have a ballpoint pen. And this circle on the end of it can make a neat texture. A dental tool, they can come in quite handy, and then a wooden tool. I just grabbed a bunch of tools, and I have my K letter stamp because I noticed I have not stamped the bottoms of these. I'm going to start with one that's not really my favorite. So if it doesn't turn out, I'll have another chance, and then it'll probably be the best one. It's got a little uneven rim. We're not looking for perfection. It's a handmade work. Let me put my K stamp. This is just a piece of porcelain, and these are porcelain, which are really good to use for pieces that are going to be carved. Because it's so smooth, my carving tool is not going to catch any hard bits in there. I'm trying to support it from the inside also, so I don't distort the foot too much. Can you see that? All right, what shall this one be? Looking over the shape. Leaves. We're going to do leaves on this one. Leaf down here. That's a skinny little leaf. I don't want them all to look the same. Okay, one more big leaf here. Let's start from upside down. Big leaf. As big a leaf as I can make on a tiny pot. Let's see. Amoeba shapes. These are kind of whimsical. The little amoeba forms. I first started drawing them as flowers with 5 even little petal shapes, but I find that I like them more just when they're kind of free. You know, see 5 little feet on one, or 3 on one, or none. Okay, we're decorating. There are so many different ways to decorate pottery. I've never been a big fan of glazing. So the glazes I use are these simple Celadon glazes, clear glazes, and then I like to use colored clay. I so need to make some more swirl mugs for an upcoming show, but with that swirl pattern, with the colored clay, and with some other things that I'm doing, I don't have to worry about glazing. So I find different ways to decorate my pottery. In a home studio, without a lot of space and in town, I'm using an electric kiln. So I don't have a big gas kiln. You get different effects with the glazes using a gas kiln and a reduction environment than using an electric kiln with an oxidation environment. That's a whole other video, whole other topic. So instead of getting a lot of different glazes and experimenting with glazes, I just decided to use simple glazes, and it fits my aesthetic for now. Although I loved glazes with depth and like these gritty surfaces, but I can't do that in my home studio well. I can't do it like I want. So there's the amoeba shapes. Now, a few different things I could do around the shapes. I could just leave it, or I could do a dot pattern. That's going to take some time. Or I could do a tracing pattern, which would also take some time. I wanted to do one of these with tracing. That's what I'm going to do. I kind of like it with just one tracing around each amoeba, but we're not going to stop there. Okay. Oh, I think it looks cool. Let's finish this section. All right. This blob has 1, 2. This one has 1, 2. This one has 1, 2. All right. So that touched there. We're going to do this first. Can you see it? I like that. Let's go with the bowl next. I'm going to do fluting on the bowl. Not music fluting, but fluting with texture. Let me put my K for Kristen. My pottery business is Kristen K Clay. So what shall we use for fluting? We shall use this. Let me think about it. First of all, how thick? It's not real thick. For fluting, you take a bit away, and if I'm fluting a larger piece, it's going to be a thicker walled item so that I can carve into it. But with these teeny tiny pots, I'm just experimenting. They're bumpy. Find a balance between being too picky. I don't want it to be really messy, but I want it to have some life, and life is not perfect. There. A fluted bowl. Okay, what else? We've got two more pots. That's an interesting shape. When I'm decorating, I keep in mind where the widest point is. I keep in mind the curves of the pot and work the decoration to fit around those curves. See this texture? Here's my texture tool. It's a pen. One more. What do we do with this one? Oh, I want to do another amoeba. Maybe I'll make this one more flower-like. More flower-like amoeba. So if I put that one there, one here. I think this texture, the texture on all of these, the carving, is going to look nice with the celadon. And then I get to decide what color celadon to use. I have a blue celadon. I have a teal, it's really nice. And I have a purple. And I have mason stains that I could color the celadons. It's done, right? Do we see any background that is not textured? Oh, I like it. Okay, 5 little pots. These are the other pots and the strata pendants. I did a video recently about strata pendants. So these are drier. I don't know if you can see that they're whiter. Yeah, you can see. So as they dry, it gets whiter. This one has more moisture content in it, and I can kind of tell how dry they are by the color. So these are the first 5 that I made. There's a little picture. with a thrown texture that I just left, and I put a little texture on the handle. And amazingly, the handle stayed. It didn't pop off. I like the shape of that one. And these pendants are kind of cloudy looking, but when they're glazed, they will be shinier. Like the one I'm wearing right now. Let me get it. Well, they have to be fired first, and then I'll sand them, and then dip them in a glaze, and then glaze fire, and then they look something like this. There. Shall we check on the bigger pots? I had to bring everything in the house because my studio is not insulated, and we are experiencing still some freezing weather. All right, so these are drying. They even sound different. See, this one looks whiter, so I reached for that one. And I would expect that one to be drier because it doesn't have a handle. The ones with handles I dry really, really, really slowly. Let's see, this is a cup. Still needs to dry. I can tell by the weight, by the sound it makes. And if it's cold, if I put it up to my face, putting it up to my face and I feel it cold, I know there's still a lot of water in it. So I've been checking these every few days to make sure that they're drying and make sure the handles are not separating from the mug. Looks good. I just need a lot more. But I'm not doing this full time, and I'm doing what I can, but I have a show coming up where I need more pottery. Flowers. Fluting on the little bowl. Leaves. Dots. And little outlined amoeba shapes. 5 carved tiny pots.
What if you get lost and you're taking this on video? If you get lost, it's going to be on video.